Feeling sick? Need to see a doctor fast? Book a video consultation appointment with top doctors and specialists using Cural Healthcare app. Enjoy a safe and secure conversation from the comfort of your home. Download the Cural app now. Cural Healthcare, done smart.
Hi. Welcome to this physiotherapy rehabilitation, and this is Dr. Shravan Kumar. Now today I'm going to speak on what are the effects of pain on head, neck, shoulder, and so how regular practice of physiotherapy can help in cervical spondylosis. So coming to this question, what is exactly what physiotherapy can do for a neck pain or a cervical spondylosis? So neck pain, in the sense it has many of the conditions like cervical spondylosis or cervical spondylitis or listhesis or losis. The different conditions of the neck pain. So coming to this physiotherapy, what physiotherapy can do for this neck pain? So neck pain, it depends on a patient to patient. It depends on how the pain is radiating. Some people have pain only till this shoulder region. Some people are confined to only this neck region, and some people are have the experience of pain to completely till the shoulder. So so regarding this effects of the neck pain, effects of physiotherapy, effects of how physiotherapy can heal. So in this case we can discuss about exercise therapy or electrotherapy. So mainly when you come to the only confined region of cervical spondylosis, so here you have to go for it starting with the electrotherapy. If you have a severe pain, or if you have a mild pain, then you can start with the stretchings or exercises. So in that case, this physiotherapy can helpful in the acute cervical spondylosis cases. But when it comes to the subacute or chronic cases of cervical spondylosis, so physiotherapy has to be more prone to this electrotherapy, manual therapy, as well as the exercise therapy. So regular practice, in the sense, at least if the patient is going to attend at least 15 days of course, then there will be a fruitful results.
Use Cural app to order medicines from your local pharmacy. Enjoy speedy home delivery and up to 20% discount. Download now. Cural Healthcare, done smart.
So please tell us some stretching exercises we can do at home for the neck pain. Coming to the neck pain, so stretching exercises is like why we are doing stretching exercises. That is the most important thing. So when it comes to the stretching exercises, any part of the body, so if it is in chronic pain, right, so you cannot deal it in home. You need to visit a physiotherapist, or you need to visit an orthopedic. But when it comes to the when you dealing at home, so you need to stretch your neck to one side of the if I'm going to have the pain on my right side, I'm going to stretch my right side of the neck toward touching my left ear towards the left shoulder. So holding it for 2-3 seconds or 5 seconds, and stretching your shoulder down. So this will helps you to ease the pain for at least for 5 minutes, and then again it starts paining again. So what you can do is, again you need to focus on the same stretching at least for other one more time, so that it will show a good change in the tissue. Like suppose if you are going to do the stretching exercise at least 5 times in a day, in the morning and the evening, then you can show a good result for the pain. And so how electrotherapy works to ease the pain. So coming to electrotherapy, so when it comes to a physiotherapist always deals with 3 departments, like one is exercise therapy, one is electrotherapy, and one is manual therapy. So exercise therapy is be continued after once the patient is subsided with the pain with electrotherapy, in the case of subacute cases or chronic cases. When it comes to acute cases, electrotherapy is not the choice, exercise therapy is the choice. So electrotherapy is the one when the patient goes to a physiotherapist with the subacute case or a chronic case. So electrotherapy will decrease the pain by improving the muscle relaxation and improving the blood circulation in the concerned part. So there are different electrical modalities when it comes to for the pain treatment. You have ultrasound, you have IFT, and it depends on the condition. Like if you have only the neck pain, so neck pain, it is severe and it is radiating, then you have to go for IFT and ultrasound. So what does ultrasound promotes for? Ultrasound is the one, this is called as therapeutic ultrasound. It's not a scanning ultrasound, it's a therapeutic ultrasound. So in this therapeutic ultrasound, you will find a major difference when you have a severe chronic pain. Either it is cervical radiculopathy or it is a cervical spondylosis or spondylolisthesis. So that way the electrotherapy works on. So when to avoid physical therapy for the neck pain? So as I said, like it depends on acute pain or chronic pain or subacute pain. So a patient comes with the neck pain as well as the shoulder pain. So in this sort, so it is the main assessment of the physiotherapy. So the thing is, you need to rule out from where the pain is aggravating. Some people have the frozen shoulder. In the frozen shoulder also there will be a neck pain. It is radiating till neck. Some people are only confined to the shoulder region. So when you have severe chronic pain which is radiating from neck to shoulder, neck to arm, like neck to arm, from the neck to arm, some people have even tingling sensation in these two fingers or tingling sensation in these fingers. So in this case, what you have to do is, you should not lift any heavy weight, or you should not stretch anything. So you should not do any abrupt movements. You should not bend the neck forward. You should not bend the neck into hyperextension. So avoiding this neck movements, giving rest to the neck, will subside the pain to some extent. So these are the things which you avoid physical therapy when you have neck pain. So what are the major cause of shoulder? So coming to shoulder, and see when it comes to neck and shoulder, so neck and shoulder are more prone to this phone like technology. Like when you watch a person who is using a phone more than at least 6 hours in a day, or more than 10 hours in a day, so he's more prone to neck and shoulder pain. And some people who are going to pull something, like if they want to take it out from the, like in the housewives, if they want to pull something from the upstairs, they do this. So suddenly there will be a jerky movement in the shoulder. So this is called as shoulder impingement. So in this impingement, there are different kinds of pain, the shoulder pain. So some people have the what you call the periarthritis shoulder or adhesive capsulitis. In this, it occurs because of diabetes, like pre-diabetic range or diabetic range. It starts with the pre-diabetic range and shoots till diabetic range. So once the range of motion is stopped, so it indicates that there is something obstructing in the shoulder. So there are different kinds of shoulder pains. So which it can be a trauma, or it can be a diabetes, or it can be any other things which can cause this shoulder pain. So what are the symptoms most associated with the shoulder pain? So patients, it depends on the age to age. Again, with shoulder pain, a person with periarthritis, more common causes periarthritis shoulder and shoulder impingement. And nowadays teenagers and even the people who are age group of 31 to 40, they are exposed to this shoulder pain because of long sitting and because of their ergonomics. So this causes the shoulder impingement. Impingement is like people cannot throw the ball, or people cannot take something, or people cannot sit in 90 degrees. So these are the symptoms, and there will be restriction of motion. Like if I'm going to, this is the flexion. So when I ask a patient to do this in shoulder, that is what you call periarthritis shoulder, the range of motion is restricted, and they cannot do this, any sort of motions like internal rotation or external rotation. In some, external rotation is more affected. So there are different symptoms causing shooting pain or any radiating pain in this shoulder syndrome. So what is the recovery process of shoulder replacement surgery? So when it comes to surgery, so surgery is like it's like a excision which is made on the shoulder. So in this incision, it obstructs complete muscles of the chest as well as the shoulder. So when a person is after surgery, if he wants to move his shoulder, he is going to lift his shoulder at certain range of motion. It cannot go beyond this. So what is the recovery process? At least it takes 2 to 3 months of recovery process after the surgery. So because it depends again, like as the shoulder replacement, it depends on the condition, like if it is a fracture or if it is a adhesive capsulitis. Most of the time surgery is done only for this what do you call the fracture cases. But most of the periarthritis shoulders, they will go for physiotherapy, continuous physiotherapy, at least for 2 months to 3 months. So it takes at least 12 weeks of time to recover from the surgery. So what are some recommendations from shoulder stretches? So shoulder stretches. So you can stretch the shoulder mainly. See, this joint is like you need to have the hypermobility or mobility. So I say always you do for a mobility. For example, if you want to take anything, so you should take the hand from not like this. The thumb should be up and it should be open and the elbow extended. So in this case, most of the time your shoulder will be in action, not with the elbow. Most of the time will be working with the elbow, not with the shoulder. So even sometimes if you want to lift a bucket, so lifting the bucket is also one sort of stretch, I say. So keeping the shoulder mobile, like in all angles, at least 10 minutes in a day or 15 to 20 minutes in a day, it will helpful for the it is like a just and stretch. So what are some recommendations, and what causes trigger finger, and how can physiotherapy help? Yeah, what is trigger finger exactly? Trigger finger is like it is like the bending of the first joint, like first joint of any finger. So this is called trigger finger. So trigger finger mostly helpful is like, it depends on the pain, it depends on the bending. So most of the time we refer for a splint. Yeah, splint is we refer for a dynamic splint. In this splint, we will ask the patient to keep the splint for at least for 20 hours in a day, so that it can get back to its normal position. So that will keep on at least for 3 months. Again, 3 to 6 months of continuous wearing of this splint will ease the trigger finger. Is it helpful for apply heat therapy? How to apply heat therapy to ensure that there is no skin damage? So heat therapy, there is always contrast between the heat and the cold. So when it comes to heat therapy, so there are different types of hot water fermentations, right? Even when you do hot water fermentation in the home, right? So you'll have a mild skin, that cryothermy, or the what you call heat therapy. So what you call as you have to go for 15 minutes, 20 minutes heat therapy for at least for all the joints of the neck and the shoulder, or back or knee, whatever the joint is, at least for 15 minutes. And it depends on your skin sensitivity. So heat is always, it is not going to damage anything, but it promotes blood circulation, it promotes relaxation. And like, see, for example, if you have a skin itching and if you apply heat on it, then definitely it causes skin damage. So it is like patient point of view, and the physiotherapist who is going to advise by observing the skin sensitivity of the skin, like if they have any complaint before of skin irritation or itching, so you should never apply heat on that. Yes, of course, it will be helpful for the heat is helpful for many modes. Like if the patient is having acute pain, he can go for only for the heat therapy, 15 minutes in a day, or 30 minutes divided into 2 parts in a day, at least for 3 to 4 days continuously. If he is going to start the process, then definitely acute pain will get subsided. So I have back pain from last few days. Can I use ice or cold packs to reduce pain and swelling? Yes, of course. So back pain again. So what type of pain it is? There are different kinds of back pain. So mild back pain can be reduced with ice or cold packs or heat packs, right? For at least for, again, it will have a time period. Morning, if you are going to apply in the morning, and evening you are going to apply in the evening. So this program, if you continue for at least for 5 days, definitely it will have results for this back pain. So which exercise or activities should I avoid with lower back pain? So why lower back pain is most of the people even they come to me for severe back pain. Sir, actually, I lifted a heavy weight, I lifted a can. Suddenly, I got a spasm at the back and I am feeling more pain. So this sort of complaints will come to me right from age 20. Now it was before 30, now it is 20. Right from age 20 to 60, the common complaint is low back pain. So low back pain is the one when you are going to bend forward, it aggravates the lower back pain. So the main position what you are going to do, even in Surya Namaskara, you should not bend forward. So it will pull up the muscles. So it will trigger the muscles to go into spasm. Then obviously they feel that something is going to be stuck in the back, or they feel pain right from the back to the legs. So which exercise activity should I avoid with the lower back? Okay. Can lower back pain be cured with the physiotherapy? Yes, of course. So if it is a mild back pain, then you can treat in the home. Even in these COVID situations, you can treat with the home with the hot water fermentation, or a complete rest at least for 2 days. But with the physiotherapy, if it is needed, the physiotherapy is needed, then it should be in a subacute case or chronic case. In chronic cases, physiotherapy helps. It works like a miracle. So the physiotherapist will give at least this what you call as IFT and ultrasound. There's electrotherapy and manual therapy. Manual therapy is the best medicine where the back pain can be cured. So I'm having back pain in the lower part since 3 to 4 months. There is no issue found in the X-ray. Physiotherapy helped me and reduced my pain at the time, but now it started paining again. So please advise. Okay. So evaluate. So in X-ray, most of the time you cannot see what are the causes of the back pain. So even if the pain is keeping on repeating, or if there is an intermittent pain. So if you have a pain in 5 days and there is no pain in the other 5 days, then definitely you need to go for an MRI and check with an orthopedic doctor like what exactly it is causing my back pain. And then relatively you get the MRI to the physiotherapist. He also goes with the proper assessment, and then he'll start the physiotherapy treatment. Why does women back hurt so much after giving birth? How can yes, like women. So this is the major cause. A woman in pregnancy, right, having back pain, lower back pain. Mostly L1 to L5 is the more prone because of the spinal changes. It goes to lordosis. The spine goes to lordosis. Lordosis it's like moving the stomach going forward, or the abs going forward. So in this case, women will have more of this back pain. And how does it help? See, you cannot take any NSAIDs, that is non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. You cannot take this. And how you can prevent it? So you can prevent it by doing electrotherapy or manual therapy only at the 6th month. So till the second stage you can go. So after the second semester, and when it enters into the third semester, you cannot go for electrotherapy. So you can go only for the manual therapy, or exercise therapy will be helping a lot in women during pregnancy. Yeah, the question actually, it is like prenatal and postnatal pregnancy. So prenatal during the course, also during 9 months of pregnancy, they feel this pain, and after this also some of the women, they have most of the pain. This is because of the spinal changes. So definitely after delivery, after this 3 months of time, if they start doing exercises, then definitely the pain will be subsided. Does the diagnosis of osteoarthritis mean I should limit my physical activity? Well, yeah, coming to osteoarthritis. So osteoarthritis are different stages. They have 5 stages. So it depends on what grade they have. It is not like if they have mild osteoarthritis, they should not limit their physical activity. So if the grade is 5, the patient has severe pain and they cannot move on their toes, or they cannot move on their knees. So it is must they have to limit their physical activity. So there are only certain activities which they do in the grade 5 or grade 4. So, but when it comes to grade 1 to 3, they can do the physical activity which helps to relieve from the pain. Please tell some core and back strengthening exercises. Okay, like this question actually it should be shown practically. So like core strengthening exercises, like there are certain exercises like pelvic bridging, okay, and extension exercises, Williamson's exercises. So these are some of the exercises. These are the core strengthening, like plank exercises. I generally prefer for plank. In the case of the plank exercises, you need to continue. You need to hold the your abs at least for 30 seconds, repetitive for at least for 10 times or 5 times, so that it gives most of the strength to the abs. And then this is in the against gravity position. When it comes to lying position, you need to press your abs at least 5 seconds to 10 seconds and then release it, not holding your breath. Without holding your breath, you need to push your abdomens down and hold it for 5 to 10 seconds, and then you can continue for at least for 10 sets. So this is should be done before taking the food and in the evening. You can, if you can repeat morning and evening, that will be helpful for the back pain. Yeah, thank you so much, Kural. So I think there are certain things which can be elaborated, but I hope I have concised the information to reach to a patient, so that they will have an idea what can be done in the 3 stages of pain to any of the joint like neck, shoulder, and knee. So thanks so much.